I think we've got like 20 minutes.
No, I think we got more. I'm gonna stretch out some of these, and we might. Do we replace Sue with more Ray Rice talk? Because at this point, like Ray Rice, I get it. He apologized. I've kind of moved on. Not moved on, but like I accept that he's apologized. What's his face? Stephen A. Smith, act like a jackass. He's apologized. At this point, like the people who need to apologize is the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen clearly, but
See, like I said, I don't get into social issues in sport, or I try not to.
I'm sure I could dig up conversations where you definitely have. So.
Oh, I know.
Okay. All right, so we're dumping the Magic shoes for Josh Gordon's pot. Which the more you hear about it, like the more like it's really interesting. Like the way the standards that are held to the NFL are like way higher than like WADA and like other sports leagues and even like pilots. Like there's a lower tolerance for weed in your system than it is for pilots.
I mean, did you hear about Dustin Johnson, the golfer?
Dude, the Justin Johnson thing is its own blog. I was gonna suggest that you write it because I think it's the funniest damn thing in the world. Do you hear? Have you heard the Rory rumors?
Huh?
So it all ties back to the Rory McIlroy rumors and why he broke it off with Wozniacki. Apparently, he was banging some girl on a glass table, and we are live, so everyone is seeing this. I'm so sorry, but it's true. This is the rumor I heard. He was having sex with some girl on a glass table. The glass table broke. She got covered in glass, and that's like that was.
Wait, this is Rory?
This is Rory. I'll get there. Trust me.
Yeah.
This is the weekend he texted Wozniacki was like, I can't get married. I'm not ready for it. That next weekend he was playing golf in long sleeves because allegedly there was glass scratches all over his arms. Apparently, it's like one of those open secrets for USGA. Yeah. So like apparently like golf's like. Apparently, the Dustin Johnson thing, like, there's lots of rumors as to who it was, who the girl is, and like you got people like chirping back and forth on Twitter, like,
well, apparently
it's not me.
Well, apparently it's two players' wives, one of whom's marriage was ruined after.
Allegedly.
And then there's the Paulina Gretzky. I'm going to segue Josh Gordon into this. I'm just going to.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
I have the exact line for the segue.
Well, don't waste it on the people who are listening now, who would just know.
Exactly.
I mean, I can almost guarantee.
Hey, Palmer's dead.
No. Not today.
Yeah, my mom asked me, how does one subscribe to a podcast? So I just entered the Stitcher leak. I was just like, this is going to be the easiest thing. Or Spreaker, I should say.
Let me see. I'm trying to get the event link up on Facebook and Twitter.
We're live on the site?
Oh, we're live on the site. Yeah, the site's got it up. I'm trying to put the event page up. I'm not sure if the event.
Well, yeah, last night got out of hand, but I don't feel terrible.
I was really good. I was in bed by like 12:30. I'm old now, I guess. I'm just old.
Well, I mean, you didn't want to have Paul George nightmares. I just need to drink them away.
I'm literally like the thread you go in life. Just to avoid
got my football season shipment of new gear in from Lids yesterday.
How much more? What did you get?
Little dry fit workout shirt, new Carolina hat, and then a new Georgia polo.
All right.
Why not?
I'll never understand.
It's not exciting at all. It's not exciting. It's just kind of a non sequitur because I don't know. I was bored.
Making sure putting everything up here properly. That isn't right.
Oh, let's see here. Where's old Jason is a Smith?
I just texted him.
He'll show up randomly like 15 minutes in.
That's literally what you did last week, so I really need you not to accuse people of that. Like, it's exactly what happened last week. You do remember that, right?
But he's done that
and then you vanished.
Well, the thing is, I realized
I understand. I know what was happening. You don't explain it.
Otherwise indisposed, so I downloaded Hangouts on my phone real quick. It took a good 5-10 minutes to download it. I come in, I pop in. I didn't expect myself to just emerge. I thought I could watch it for a second. I was just in, and then my phone died.
Right. I've got two hypotheticals,
Love it.
but I'm not sure which one.
I've got one just random question I'm going to throw out at you at some point.
Well, that'd be nice to know.
Actually, I already know the answer to it, but there was an SB Nation article that made me. I don't know. It seems like a good question. I wish we had a third person for it, but
right, like that's one of the things I was hypothetical. I'm like, I don't want to burn a good one. I'll burn one on us today because I know how we're both going to answer, and it's going to make us look like bad people. But I'm fine with it. I'm 100% fine with it.
all right.
I haven't heard from Jason. I don't know. My phone just went. Okay, sorry. I'm losing it. I haven't heard from Jason, and I've got a movie to go to at 1:40. I'm going to see the shit out of Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm super excited.
Man, I was supposed to be doing a little networking this morning, and I decided I'd rather podcast, and I've got to meet up with a landscaper at 2 o'clock at one of my listings.
I'm sorry you had to carve out 20 minutes in your day.
Oh, perfectly fine. No, I would much rather do this than be doing what I was going to do until 2. Kissing ass and taking names.
Kissing names and taking ass.
I have no response.
There's a response. I'm responseless.
It merits none.
Huh?
I said it merits no response.
No. I don't see what would you possibly say back yet. Eli. Making fun of Eli's gonna be the best part of the day.
I mean, fucking Eli.
Josh Gordon.
How does Eli still have more Super Bowl rings than Peyton Manning? That's just not fair. There's no justice.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Let's get it.
All right. That's what we talk about. I know, right? That's what we talk about the rest of the day.
What?
Yeah, see? All right, welcome back to the Dude You Crazy Weekly Hangover, where we take a satirical look at the stories of the week and chat amongst friends. I'm, as always, your host, Daniel Palmer. Find me on Twitter at dpalm66. You can find everything we write over at dudeyoucrazy.net. You can get involved with the show by doing so by leaving 5-star reviews, either over at Stitcher or on iTunes. Leave a 5-star review. We will read it on the air no matter what of content. Also, to get involved, if that's too busy for you, don't want to help us out by giving us 5 stars, that's fine. You can go ahead and email the show at dudeyoupodcast@gmail.com. And we'll read your emails in the air. We'll argue about whatever you're talking about. Hey, maybe you've got better ideas than we do. I can almost guarantee that's true. Well, today it's just going to be a small 2-man pod. It's me and my boy Chad Floyd, Chad_Floyd on Twitter. What up, Chad?
Not too much. I appreciate the plug there. I will say this. We will read it on the air. We have done so many times. It's fun for you. It's embarrassing for us, and you probably do have better ideas than us because I was completely nonplussed by the lineup until we discussed it, ironed out some new changes. So I'm pumped now.
Wow, that was a real backhanded compliment of the guy who makes the topics. That'd be me.
It was.
I'm not going to lie. That hurt a little bit. You know what it didn't hurt as much as? Whatever happened to Paul George's leg last night. And I want to say this. I know this is a football podcast, and trust me, it's a football-heavy podcast, but it was a current event last night. If you guys were watching the blue and white USA scrimmage, one of my favorite events of the year, getting ready for the FIBA World Cup of basketball that no one watches but me, apparently. Paul George destroyed his leg. I didn't see it. I don't want to see it. This is not an invitation to tweet it at me or text it to me or email it to me. I'm going to openly avoid this injury. I watched the first half. I had left the room beginning of the second half or midway through or whenever it happened, and luckily I missed it. My new goal in life is to never see it. Chad, I know you were trapped in a bar with ESPN on television, so I know you saw it. Are you okay?
I've been better. I've been worse. Just
That's
hearing
fair.
you bring it up again kind of made my stomach start to turn a little bit. But when ESPN warns you that the following video is going to be graphic, you don't get that warning when you're at a bar. The sound the sound on the TVs tends to be off. So anytime your eyes wander, you say, "Oh, basketball. This looks fun," and just ugh, ugh. It was horrific. I didn't see Bone. That was good, but
I mean, that's a
that's
low
really
bar
the
to
only good
clear.
thing.
That's a low bar to clear, brother.
So kind of makes me wonder, going into the future of basketball, are they going to get cameramen off the baseline? Are they going to make some kind of changes to stanchions? I know the stanchion was a little non-standard.
I think that the biggest thing to come out of this is this may be the last time we see NBA players play in the World Championships. We may still see them in the Olympics. I think that we want the World Cup to be big, but it's not as big as it could be. This is the second biggest global sport. I think we're going to see a lot of college kids playing. I just think that front offices, and of course, I'm trying to make myself as pragmatic about it as possible because the actual human effect is pretty jarring. But I think that just from a financial perspective, you're going to see teams that say, I don't want my players jeopardizing my money on the floor for national pride.
I would agree with that. I think it's good for some. I mean, for younger players, I think it's good. Guys on rookie contracts, but seeing somebody like Derrick Rose out there kind of scares me. I mean, dude's basically not played in 2 years.
He's played 10 games in 2 years. That's 10 out of a possible 164 regular season games, and I couldn't agree more. Every time Derrick Rose jumped, which was a lot last night, and he looked great. I want to say that too. Yeah. But it made me super nervous. That opening dunk, I was like, just don't let his knee explode. And then it didn't. And then he did it again. I was like, oh, they hit one of those patented, super athletic, I can't imagine doing that layups. So, I mean, maybe he's backer. Maybe he's more back than we all could thought.
I like backer.
Backer works.
Yeah, I mean, he was, just watching the little bit that I did before, exploding tibias.
Oh,
God. I mean, Derrick Rose did look more explosive than I expected him to be. I thought he was going to be kind of the sad Penny Hardaway story, but he looked good last night.
Yeah, I think shaking Penny Hardaway as a comp is a really big accomplishment, if anything, for this summer so far. All right, I want to go ahead and get started. Before we do, I want to talk about something I've talked about on the podcast before, something close and near and dear to my heart, the WWE Network. Now, I know what you're saying, Daniel. Daniel, you talk about the network. You're a big wrestling fan. It's gotten worse since I've been in Philly, I'm not going to lie. But it looks like the network's not doing too great. You can look at old matches and all those things. But you know what's better than pro wrestling on demand, Chad?
What's that?
Georgia football highlights on demand.
Yes, sir.
I would invite anyone who's ever liked Georgia football to go to our site or go to the iTunes store, click to download the UGA Vault app for free. Interviews, highlights, old games, things you've never seen before. I wasted at least a solid hour at work on Friday just playing with this app because it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. If you ever thought to yourself, man, I wonder what happened last time we played Notre Dame looking ahead to these games coming up, you can do that. If you ever said, man, I wonder how bad Quincy Carter was live, you can do that too. The highs and lows are all there, and it's fun and it's free in the App Store, UGA Vault.
I know I discovered it on a Friday, and I immediately posted. I said, this thing is just ridiculous. You can search by coach eras, you can search by player, you can search by opponent. It's incredible.
Thank you for helping.
I've learned so much about Georgia football that, being a guy who's really been paying attention to Georgia football for almost exactly 2 years. All of a sudden I get a nice little historical perspective that I never had. And it takes 2 minutes at a time. And I wasted about 6 hours on it the first day I got it.
All right. Well, today's going to be a football-heavy podcast. I want everyone to know this is a public service announcement. I know we're recording on Saturday. It probably goes up Monday. Sunday is the first football game of the year, of the season. The Bills and the Giants are going head-to-head in the annual Hall of Fame game. And guess what, guys? This coming Thursday is the last Thursday until Christmas that you won't have football. It's about apologize to your girlfriends, apologize to your wives, Chad, apologize to there's no one important in your life, is there? That's sad. Well, just realize that your life's going to change forever, and it's all for the better. Let's start off in the NFL. We've got the final word. We're not going to talk about this ever again. I got to call a lot of people savages last week for their defense of Ray Rice. Chad, we saw both Ray Rice and Stephen A. Smith apologize pretty unequivocally this week. It wasn't a situation where they said, "Oh, I'm sorry if you misconstrued what I said. I'm sorry if you were hurt or offended." They said, "Hey, we were wrong. We were both wrong in our own instances." It's so interesting that Stephen A. Smith is going to miss more work than Ray Rice. But coming out of that, did you have a problem with these apologies?
I've got one problem with the apologies, and it doesn't relate to either of the people you just mentioned. Roger Goodell hadn't apologized yet.
Oh no, Roger's not going to apologize. Roger down on Saturday.
Was it yesterday or Thursday and said that he believed in the suspension. He thought it was firm enough and was ready to move on.
Yeah, the key word.
I think that was the paraphrasing.
The key word that he said for me was he said it was consistent. Now, I'm not sure what he thinks consistent means, but if you look at the history of suspensions, I know Jason last week on the pod railed off a bunch of them, but this is not consistent.
No.
I want to hear from the NFL because right now, I know, it's one thing to be outraged, and we're all outraged of everything that Ray Rice did and Stephen A. Smith said, but if we're going to live in this echo chamber of the internet and immediate reactions, we've got to allow people a chance to learn and grow from their mistakes. There was, like I said, there was no equivocation in the apologies. There was ownership. I like that Ray Rice said that eventually he wants to work against, in a more public manner, against domestic violence, but he also felt that now wasn't the time because the publicity was too strong and the focus should be on him and not the topic. I thought that both those men did what they had to do. I'm one of those people who says, you make a mistake. If you own it, if you really own it, I have no problem with giving you a second chance. NFL, I'm going to have a problem giving you a chance and not making lots of cynical jokes about the pink jerseys and towels that are going to be popping out in October. Let's be real here and really recognize the bigger problem now is that the NFL has thumbed its nose at its female fan base. And I'm not sure how you bounce back from that as a league.
I agree 100%. And I mean, as much effort as they put into marketing to females, I mean, it's preposterous. You can still get your pink Ray Rice jerseys, though.
NFL.com. They are on sale at NFL.com. I think they come bedazzled now, which is nice. Save you a little time because I know I bedazzle my jerseys. So I figure a pre-bedazzling is just maybe not you stay with that, but it's a good base to work off of.
See, I mean, I've got my little box of rhinestones next to me. I like doing it on my own time.
I know, Chad. That's a joke I just made. Okay, we're going to stay within the AFC North. Go to the Cleveland Browns, a team that usually we're making fun of for ineptitude reasons, because today we're going to make fun of them for ineptitude reasons. Brian Hoyer is the starter right now. He's a starter for 2 games last year. People in Cleveland are high on him. But there's been a lot of chirping out of Cleveland saying Johnny Manziel isn't ready. Johnny Manziel, the team has more confidence in Hoyer than Manziel. We're disappointed with the amount of targeting. Cleveland, meet me in the camera. Just come close. You guys are a professionally run football franchise. I assume you have televisions and the internet. And if you're surprised by anything you saw from Manziel this offseason, you're either lying or stupid. I am hoping you're not stupid, because if you are, I'd love your jobs. But, Chad, do you think that this is just a smokescreen? First of all, do you think Manziel is a starter before the season's over? That's the most important question.
For the season opener?
Before the season's over. I think that
absolutely. I'm thinking by October he's the starter. I mean, you don't draft a ticket selling guy, a high publicity guy, and an exciting player like that to start Brian Hoyer. And Brian Hoyer was very good for a 6-win team last year, but Cleveland doesn't want to be a 6-win team, I'm assuming, although you could be right, they could be stupid, and they might not know that any of this has happened. But, yeah, I mean, Manziel will be the starter by October.
Okay. Well, better question, follow-up. If you and I agree that he'll be the starter and that's kind of where conventional logic takes you, I agree. Oh, God, yes. Why drag him through the mud now? What's to be benefited from doing this?
Well, I mean, Cleveland, as an upstanding organization, wants to make sure to humble their players and put the rookies in the right place, which, kind of runs back to some Jonathan Martin stuff from last year. But No, I mean they're just trying to promote humility in a team atmosphere when as high profile of a position as quarterback is, you just can't promote that kind of equality on a football team. I don't feel like.
Okay, so I just took a quick look at the Browns' schedule. They opened up, of course, to the first 4 preseason games, backslash money grabs by the owners, but they opened up in Pittsburgh, then they're at home for the Saints and the Ravens. I think the wheels fall off. I think 0-3 and like 3 good blowouts, which could very well happen here. I think we see Manziel starting at Tennessee, get his first start on the road in Tennessee in Nashville the next week. What do you think? Because the 28th is a bye for them. Like their bye is week 4. If they're going to do it, that's when the move almost has to be made.
He's not starting in Pittsburgh. Know that much.
No.
No. I can see him getting crushed by anyone. James Harrison's not there anymore, so that'd be good news for him. But maybe I would kind of like to see Jarvis have a breakout game on Johnny Manziel. But no, I think you probably hit it on the head. I think Tennessee is probably a good starting point for him to get on the field. Let the media rumblings hit, let the Browns start 0-3, and let Giant football be the savior that we all know and love.
Well, I think even then, once you've established that you're not a very good football team, it's not even a savior thing. It's let's see what we got out of this first-round kid. It's let's take him down to Tennessee, see what we can do with him. Because the next slate of games, the next 3 games are at Tennessee, home for the Steelers, and then at Jacksonville and home for the Raiders. Like, if there's 2 teams to get healthy against this year, it's the Jaguars and the Raiders. Like, I think that even if he comes out a little shaky against Tennessee and Pittsburgh, like, you've set yourself up potentially for great success against Jacksonville and the Raiders.
I'm looking forward to the Bortles-Manziel matchup. That's a game I would actually watch. I've not watched Jacksonville play football in like 8 years.
I'm not looking forward to anything involving Blake Bortles this year. All right, let's go to our last topic in the first half. Eli Manning. You and I were roommates for about 8 months, and I think one of our pastimes was making fun of the Manning family in general, Eli in particular. Eli Manning has, I think he said 3 times now, led the NFL in interceptions. Last year he clocked in at 27, clocked in throwing at around 57.2% clip completion rate. His new coaches, new offensive coordinator, they're targeting 70% completion, something that's only been done by 6 players in NFL history. Is this a lofty goal or an unreachable goal, Chad?
I mean, I think you know the answer to this. Are we throwing all shovel passes? Is this the is this the Urban Meyer spread option where
that's the
shovel
thing.
pass to
There's no running game and there's not a whole lot of help outside. Like David Wilson was penciled in as last year's starter, had the fumble issues, got the head injury, and now you got doctors saying, and I quote, "It will be hard. It will take a miracle for him to get back on an NFL football field." So I'm not banking on David Wilson. The runs to the running backs are depressing. No line, decent receivers, but you got to get them the ball and got to get time. 70% feels like
Randall and Odell Beckham.
I think if you're going 70%, you're talking just 3-step drops and no real attacking down the field, which is what Eli does better than anyone else in the league. I'll say that. He does a great deep ball, but if you don't have time to throw it, then what's the point?
Well, if you don't have time to throw it, you're not going to throw a very accurate deep ball.
It's very fair.
I don't know. Maybe he's just planning to take a whole ton of sacks, or maybe the coaching staff just assumes interceptions are part of completion percentage. That's all I've got. I don't know. If you were to factor, I'm going to do some quick math here.
Oh, God. Math on the pod. This is always good radio.
If you are to factor in his interceptions from last year, let's see here. What's 317 plus 27? 343.
I'm not helping you do math. I'm going to watch you do math because this is just great podcasting. This is what people tune in to hear Chad Floyd do math.
If you include his interceptions in his completion percentage, that 57.5 becomes 62.2. So, I mean,
still
it doesn't take much to get to 70%. I don't know. What you got, Tom Coughlin?
We'll see. We'll see what old Redface has early in the season, and I think that this may be the beginning of the end of the Coughlin era. We've had 2 or 3 mediocre seasons now, of course marred by injury, but at a certain point you need results, and I think it's going to be interesting to see, because if you're banking on Eli to throw for 70% to keep you your job, don't feel great about that.
Where'd you have the Giants on the over-unders?
I banged the under. They were an 8-18 last year. I'm pretty sure I banged the under. If you want to know what we're talking about, you can go to dudesyourcrazy.net and check out the official NFC and AFC over-unders on the site there.
What was their over-under? 7.5?
Their line is at 7.5. Or excuse me, their line's at 8. I took the under.
Under.
All right, great. So we reached halftime. We reached the halfway point of the podcast. I haven't killed Chad yet. This is a very good podcast so far. Chad, like I said, I had some good hypotheticals lined up, but only you and I showed up today. So I'm going to waste a bad one on you. You have to lose 2 limbs, an arm or a leg. Which 2 would you choose, and why?
I have to lose 2 limbs?
Yeah, you got to choose 2 of the 4.
Christ. Honestly, I think you can live a more fulfilling life without legs.
Really? You want both hands?
I want both hands, yeah.
When is the last time you used your left hand? I'm serious.
I'm left-handed.
I did not know that. Fine. When's the last time you used your right hand? I feel like I should have known that. When's the last time you used your right hand? Like, seriously.
Disclaimer to the listeners, we also worked together for 2 years. He has seen me write things before.
We've thrown things together. I've just never, it's never been, you know what, it's not like I was scouting you. We may have played catch or something. I apologize for nothing.
I mean, but what can you really accomplish without arms? I figure with 2 arms I can cook still. I can give 2-handed high fives. I can play video games. And if you're losing 2 limbs, I feel like video games play a major role in your future.
Ooh. See, I had an answer, then you said video games.
Yeah, what you got?
I think of my answer. I'm keeping my right arm and my left leg. That way I can go crutch. I don't need to be wheeled around. I can crutch around, and I can still hit people and cook things. Like, I feel like my right hand is way more valuable than my left hand. I made that choice.
It's so awkward looking.
Well, have you met me? I'm not the least awkward looking person as it is. So I'm not hi video podcasters. I'm not really. That's not a stressful point of me. I think that having the 1 arm, 1 leg gives me less equipment to take places. Think about every time you've been in a bar and, like, let's say someone in a wheelchair came in, it was like an event, like it was a thing. Like, I can crutch around and not really be in the way. The wheelchair adds a whole new component. I'm probably having to get. I'm not driving anywhere without
You've
legs.
never been mad at a person in a wheelchair for.
I'm not saying you get mad at them. I'm saying personally, in that wheelchair, you got to feel like a little bit of an inconvenience. With 1 leg, I can still drive. With 1 hand, I can still drive. Mobility's big for me. I'm going 1 hand, 1 arm, 1 leg, right arm, left leg. All right, second half of this podcast, we're taking you back to the NFL. So, like I said, NFL heavy this week. Josh Gordon. Speaking of suspensions, he's sitting out a year for some weed. Aside from the obvious insanity of that, we've also got the fact that it looks like the results are muddled at best. So the way it's been explained to people who know these things is that they read the weed in your system as parts per billion of your bloodstream, and it looks like his is below what would be for Olympic testing, what it would be for any other sport in America testing, what it would be for golf testing, hi Dustin Johnson, what it would be for pilot testing for people who fly planes, and what it would be below for the military, people who shoot guns. Josh Gordon catches.
I didn't know about the pilot testing.
Yeah, it's below pilot testing and military testing. And his defense is it's secondhand smoke, which, whatever, I don't care about his defense really. I care more to the fact that, like, why is the NFL, 1, full season, 2, if it's below, if he can fly a plane, he can catch a football. That's my defense.
3, he had passed 70 drug tests.
Yeah.
70 drug tests in a row, and apparently the second sample from this positive test came back clean. And then there's the whole thing of a first offender missing 4 games with Ray Rice domestically abusing his wife and getting 2. So, NFL, you got your priorities a little backwards, guys.
I didn't know about the second sample. That's even worse. Like, and the thing is, he's now put himself in the hands of the arbitrator who, spoiler alert, works for the NFL and more than often or not supports their ruling. Is this a place of just misplaced priorities in the NFL, or something that needs to be seriously overhauled as far as their drug policy?
Their whole drug policy needs to be completely gutted and reformatted, obviously. I mean, weed is legal in 2 NFL states, the 2 states of the teams that just played in the Super Bowl.
That's true.
I mean,
I'm glad you were mature enough to avoid the Super Bowl joke there. That was very, very mature of you. You're growing.
you know, I grow a little bit every day.
It's called aging, Chad. It's not growing.
Oh, God bless. Yeah. More rings on the tree here, Palmer.
Fair enough.
No, I mean, it's just completely misplaced, misguided priorities. I mean, like I said, 4 games for first defense for Weed, where Nick Marshall misses a half for like a third offense at Auburn.
That's true.
And then 2 games for on-camera domestic abuse. It just doesn't line up. It doesn't make sense. And the NFL's missing one of its most exciting players, like Manziel and Josh Gordon. Why are we talking so much about Cleveland Browns, first of all, today?
Because Cleveland's the new sports center of the universe. Like, this is it. We've reached the tipping point. Cleveland rules. Like, Cleveland is controlling everything we watch in sports. They got LeBron. They got Manziel. They've got Drake, I think. I think Drake's going to buy a house in Cleveland. Like, I think that he hosted the ESPYs. He's in sports now. I can say that. Speaking of NFL and misplaced priorities, Jim Irsay still hasn't been suspended. Jim Irsay was pulled over with more prescription pills than a pharmacy, with over $20,000 in cash, and high off his rocker. Yet he still owns his team, and not only that, showed up at Indy camp throwing $100 bills at fans. Chad Floyd, I got nothing. There's no. I want you to take a hot sports take on this, but I want to see what Stan's take is. If you can support Irsay on this, I'll be amazed.
I'll try. Irsay is now heroically the Kenny Powers of NFL owners. I've got nothing. I can do nothing with a straight face here. Yeah, I mean, again, back to misplaced priorities.
I think this is one of the problems of the NFL ownership structures, because the guy in charge of enforcement was elected for and works for the guys who also fall under his purview of enforcement.
There are 32 men who pay Roger Goodell's $20 million a year salary, and
exactly.
Jim Irsay is one of those men.
Exactly, and the bigger thing is that more than any other league, for me, it feels like the NFL and Goodell in particular, more than Tagliabue even, works directly for the owners and works for their best interests. I can say that sometimes I feel that way. I felt that way about Stern, but not as often as I do about Goodell. I never feel that way about whoever runs. Is it Bud Selig still?
Selig.
I'm pretty sure he's weekend at burning the last couple of years in baseball. So I think that this is the situation. Just if anything, perception-wise, you've got to do something if you're the NFL. We all, like, for years now, we've said he's just a puppet. All I'll say this is you don't see the owners' mouths move. You don't hear Goodell talking when the owners are drinking water. He's basically a puppet. And this was the easy way to do it. All you do is say, hey, Jim Irsay, here's $500,000 fine. Here is don't be involved with team activities for 3 weeks. Even something as paltry as that, any stance whatsoever would have been better than the radio silence you've got on it that's resulted in Goodell doubling down on an indefensible suspension of Ray Rice, but ignoring the fact that one of his owners might be a drug kingpin.
I'm just waiting for Goodell to take a stance that doesn't favor the owners. It's been, 5 years now?
Longer, but yeah.
I mean, he is just a puppet. I mean, there's no really other way to say it. He is working for the owners. He wants to go out and talk about, the $20 billion in revenue number. I mean, the man is just he's out there for the owner's best interest. The owner's best interest can be in the best interest of the fans occasionally, but the players are not being represented rightly by the commissioner. I mean, it's just a rough situation, and it's because the Ginger Hammer he just sucks.
I'm really glad you got to work a Ginger Hammer in there. Speaking of owners, we might have. Okay, so who would you say? All right, so I think we all agree that Jerry Jones is one of the more involved, and some would say obnoxious owners in sports. At least about to get topped. As many people know, the Buffalo Bills are for sale. I've been making lots of Toronto Bills jokes. My Buffalo Bills friends do not appreciate those. But it looks like
Buffalo Bills fans friends.
I do. I have actually Way more than I like to admit. But it looks like Donald Trump's throwing his hat in the ring to own the Bills. Chad, you and I we've joked about the Donald. We've joked about NFL ownership. To see these two things collide, give me the best case scenario.
Oh boy. The best case scenario for this is that the Donald buys the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, that's the starting point of the scenario.
No. I'm dotting because I don't know what the best case scenario is because I can't stand Donald Trump.
I've got the best case
scenario. Honolulu?
I've got the best case scenario. The best case scenario is ABC prime time next summer. Who wants to be a GM? It's 12 people working for Donald Trump who are proposing to become the Bills GM. It culminates the night before the draft. No, you do it in spring sweeps. It culminates the night before the draft, and then because I'm going to win. Like, this is me putting my hat in the ring and giving you I'll executive produce and be a contestant. You put me on that show, I win, I become the GM of the Bills, I draft Todd Gurley first overall, question mark, profit. That's it. I did it. I fixed the Bills. I got us Donald Trump. I moved us to Toronto, which is going to happen in year 3. I don't want to rush it to screw up the fans, but it's got to happen for our tax base. Look, tell me there's a problem with that plan.
I'm blown away. That's perfect. Like you had lead time on this. You just sprung the question on me. I couldn't have topped that either way. That's perfect.
I'm drunk with the idea of being GM.
Okay, so when you become GM, what job do I get? That's all I need to know.
We'll talk. We should talk off pod. I don't want to commit things on record. Okay. I don't want to become a he said, she said type thing. Thanks for hanging out today, guys. Everyone who came by. I see we had 3 viewers at 1.2 now. Thanks both of you guys. I might be one of them because I think I'm on the site. So thank me. As always, on Saturdays, we're doing this weekly hangover at least until football starts in earnest. After that, we'll see what happens. You can find all the things we write on dudeyoucrazy.net. You can find Chad at Chad_Floyd on Twitter. I'm at dpalm66. You can follow the site feed at dudeyoucrazy on Twitter. That's it for the week. We'll be back later this week with more SEC previews, with more looks ahead at the top 25 rankings that just came out, and with maybe talk of a Tim Tebow heel turn. I'm writing that piece, Chad. Thanks, guys, for again hanging out, and we'll see you next week.